As our time in the Southwest officially comes to a close, we find ourselves feeling grateful for the memories and the amazing landscapes we've explored. Instead of our usual search for cooler, high elevation escapes, this summer takes us in a different direction. Back to our old stomping grounds where we will be house sitting for the next 4 weeks. But before we settle in, we want to take you along to revisit a couple of our favorite close to home camping spots that make us feel like we are home.
Today we are in California, 25 miles east of Ravenale off Highway 395. So that's tucked all the way up in the northeastern part of the state. 7 miles as the crow flies from Nevada. Now, you might have not heard of Ravenale. It is a very small town, and I use the word town loosely because it was back in the 1990s and has shrunk over time. So now it's classified as an unincorporated community. So this here is actually the campground I'm walking through. It's free. It's on BLM land. It's very beautiful here. It's so far remote that there's some information you're going to want to have if you decide to come up here. It's not a place that you'll just happen to cross unless you want to come here. It's that far off the beaten path. So stay to the end of the video. We'll give you all the good details so you're prepared when you come up here. Currently, we are the only ones in the campground, which is pretty awesome. But look at this view right from our campsite. Yeah, this is my kind of place right here. We've got a nice cool wind blowing. There's no bugs out, no people around. Quiet and relaxing.
We're gonna walk up to the dam today, see how much water is coming out of the reservoir, and it's a beautiful day. Temperatures in the high 60s, maybe low 70s. And this is our backyard. This is where we grew up. Not specifically in this area, but within 100 miles. We love the high desert, but I must admit, growing up as a teenager, I didn't really appreciate the beauty of it. But it's so quiet out here. Blue sky. You don't hear anything but the birds. Maybe a coyote. You don't hear planes. Very seldom do you hear planes. And I have to say, it has been a very wet year in California. And this is the greenest that I think Dave and I have ever seen it. This is late May, and the flowers are just blooming everywhere. We did see, or I should say, Rudel saw a couple of deer yesterday. We would not have seen him without him barking. He doesn't chase them, but he barks at them, and the deer up here don't see a lot of people, so they're pretty skittish. And they said, "See you later, alligator." This is Rudel's absolute favorite thing, to be going on a walk with both of us.
Yeah, he's pretty happy about it.
He likes to walk with one of us, but he is definitely happier when we're both together.
He's got a lot more pep.
Oh boy. Rudel's happy. Oh, look at that.
Wow.
That's a happy bunch of sunflowers.
I'm not sure if they're actually sunflowers, maybe related, but they don't look like sunflowers to me.
They like this spot.
Yeah. Sure, a bright yellow, orange.
One of the things I remember most about growing up was playing outside, because we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have electricity. We had a generator. We didn't have internet. So we played outside in the dirt with Hot Wheels, making Hot Wheels cities.
There's some blooming lupin.
And these lupin. I would collect bouquets of lupin all the time. Isn't it funny how you go to a place and just a plant or a smell or a tree just brings back all these memories? That's the high desert for us. I love the ocean, and I love the mountains, and I love the desert. But no matter what, when you come back to the high desert, you still have that home feeling.
I always feel at home in the high desert.
Yeah.
Very comfortable.
Guess that's what we know. What's your home feeling? Is it the trees? Is it the ocean? Is it the mountains? What a beautiful day. Reno found a ball? Oh, good boy. You ready?
I think this is the valve that opens and closes the amount of water that comes out of here. And this is where I believe the ranchers are going to come and adjust the water flows so they can get as much water as they need to irrigate. Since this dam was built by the Dodge brothers back, I want to say late 20s, maybe early 30s, and the water rights are owned by the Dodge Ranch in the valley below. So I believe they were up here yesterday and they made an adjustment. I'm not perfectly sure, but it looks like the water's coming up a little bit. I want to see where on the other side of the dam where the water's going out to see if it looks like it was less than yesterday. I think they put a crank right here, and then one way opens it and one way shuts the valve.
That's cool.
Get a lot of water in this reservoir.
Yeah, I forgot how many hundreds of acres it is, but it's a pretty good sized reservoir.
Way across the lake you can see the inlet, a stream coming in. You could have a cabin up there, that'd be okay. I'd enjoy that. Now Dave and I were here, I don't know, 8.5 years ago maybe? I think we were here right before we sold the Jeep. We camped here, and there were hundreds of pelicans on this reservoir. And you know me, I love birds. And I was watching them. They do this thing where they go in a circle and they just spiral up until they get enough height. Maybe they're getting air drafts or currents before they would fly off. Yesterday I saw 5. When I say that this is our backyard, this was literally my backyard. When my parents moved from the Sacramento Valley, I don't know how they ended up way up here in Northern California. They had a little piece of land, not where we are here, but across the valley. And it was so remote that in the wintertime, you couldn't drive to it. Actually, I don't know if you could drive to it in the summertime. Anyway, my earliest childhood memory is there. I remember it was winter or late spring, but we had a little pond that would freeze over. And I was 3, maybe 4. And I was out on the pond riding my tricycle. And I heard a mountain lion scream. And if you've ever heard a mountain lion scream, you will never forget that sound. Have any of you heard that? My mom said that I couldn't get off that ice fast enough. Ran back to the house and didn't go out for several days.
Oh yeah. You said you heard something scream, so I went outside to see what the scream was. You were standing in the doorway. You heard it the second time, too. Her eyes was big as golf balls.
And I don't know, they didn't kill the cat, it didn't come close. It was up on the hill. I don't know why it screamed, but that's my earliest memory. They only stayed there for a couple of years, and then they moved further up the valley where I grew up. I did a video on that homestead because I had a feeling that Mom would be selling that property. And shortly after I did that video, she has sold the property. But I'll link it here if you want to check it out. That property we could drive to. And that's where I grew up. Dave grew up a little bit further north in Alturas, Lakeview, Oregon area. Still high desert. Not quite as remote. He still had electricity, flushing toilets, and all that. All the luxuries. I did not. I grew up off-grid, before off-grid was cool. So when Dave said he wanted to live off-grid, I was like, no thank you. Been there, done that. Are these gooseberry bushes or currant?
Yeah, they are. I don't know which one. I'm thinking it might be a currant.
Everything is flowering right now.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot from off the heels of Dave learning. Now, if you're new to the channel, you may not have heard the story of how we came to be on the road. So, we had a Jeep, you all know, which we loved, Dave loved. And we drove to Moab one year. Dave said, I want a boondock. I want to live full time out here. And I was like, not gonna happen, buddy. No thanks. And so we went home, continued our life. I worked for 4 eye surgeons, 4 ophthalmologists. And one day, this couple came to check out after seeing the doctor. I'll never forget them. He was like 6'3", big, super burly, manly man. And the love of his life was wheelchair bound, suffering from dementia. They were 80 and 83 years old. And he said, we saved our entire lives for our golden years, and we're too damn sick to enjoy it. And in the waiting room of the doctor's office, in front of 40 patients, this big burly man started sobbing uncontrollably. The weight of the world was on his shoulders. And I felt so bad for him. I went home that night and I told Dave, let's do it. What'd Dave say? Are you serious? I said, yep, I'm serious. But you have to sell your Jeep. And what'd you say?
I said, give me some time to think about it. And it took about a month. And then we ended up getting the van. We bought the ProMaster used and started building it out.
We drove it to Sacramento. The van we went to go buy was already sold when we got there. But this van came in full of scratches and dings and all kinds of stuff. And Dave said,
we'll take it.
We can afford that one.
Yeah, no, I saw the scratches and dings. It actually made me happy. I'm like, we might be able to afford this one.
And we bought that one on the spot. And when we drove off the car lot, we had to drive by the Jeep, and I cried. And I said, Dave, are you sure you want to do this?
Well, at that point, it was too late. So.
I was like, we can turn around right now. We can go back and tell them we changed our mind.
I don't think so.
And he said, nope, we're doing it. That was almost 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's been that long.
Time goes by quick.
We're going to do it for 1 year. And we're on year 8. Well, do you think more or less water's coming out?
It looks exactly the same, but I mean, they could have made a small adjustment and we wouldn't have noticed, so. But the lake level, the reservoir level does appear to be going up.
Yeah, it just depends on how much water's coming in on the other side versus how much is going out, huh?
Yeah, and the snow's melting quickly, so maybe it's the last chance to fill this lake up, and they're going for it. I don't know. We're just guessing at this point.
And we keep calling it a lake, but it's a reservoir. It's man-made. Is this all volcanic activity around here?
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
That's why there's the obsidian scattered throughout. This reservoir is stocked full of fish, at least 3 different kinds of trout, rainbow, browns, and I think there's another type as well. And from what I hear, it is super good fishing and gets a lot of activity during certain times of the year, probably summertime, because the wintertime it's all snowed up in here. And as a kid, I was crazy about fishing, and I still love to fish, but I would go all the time and mostly catch trout and lots of rainbows and German browns and brook trout. And I would keep everything, and we would eat everything I caught for years and years and years. And finally, one day we decided that trout really wasn't for us. So we just didn't like the fishy taste. And huh?
Trout is yucky. Trout is yucky.
Carrie says trout is yucky. Well, it can be fishy, you know, depending on the temperature of the water and how long ago it was introduced to the lake. So, but the native brook trout are generally the best to eat, and they're smaller, and they're not right out of the stocked pond. But we just got tired of eating trout, honestly. And so now if I do go fishing, it's catch and release when it comes to them. And I still love it. I just don't love eating the fish as much. And this is mullen coming up right here on the edge from last year. And it's all dried out and dead, but there should be fresh ones coming up. That is dry as a bone. Riddle's excited. Yeah, I still love fishing, just not gonna keep any trout anymore. Probably not any catfish either, because that was another thing that we caught a lot of as a kid. And can be pretty fishy tasting. And of course, you gotta know how to cook it, which that's probably where I failed. What are you doing, Carrie? Oh, we got butterflies.
Little blue butterflies. They're all over through here.
Oh yeah, they're little tiny guys. Rose says, I don't care about butterflies. I just want to get in the water and chase something.
There's a whole bunch down there.
Oh, here we have some mullen coming up.
Ooh. Yeah. Don't scare the butterflies.
I'm scaring the butterflies. And mullen helps me with my allergies. So I've been using that. I need to make up a new tincture, but it's not quite ready yet. I'll let it get a little bit higher off the ground than that. I don't want to disturb it yet. It wasn't that long ago when there was snow on the ground here. It hasn't had much time to flourish yet. More mullen. All the way out to the point. Riddle knows what the word skipper is. And if I say skipper, he perks up. You ready? You ready? Oh, yeah, it went skipping. He's like, it's sunk. I'm not gonna chase after a sunken rock.
That is one fat lizard. And y'all know my rule about lizards. If the lizards are out, the snakes are out. It's on the table. Go get it. It's over there. On the table. Nope, nope. Fine ball. He smells it. I still maintain that making the bed is the hardest part about van life. It takes two of us to make the bed. It never stays made either.
You have to have good discipline to make this bed.
It is so tight.
And I think we lack.
Oh wait, get the brush. So, we're gonna show you. It's right here in the door, I think, Dave. Because Rudel doesn't have much space and he's on the bed, a lot of dirt gets on the bed, and this is how we were fixing it before. We're brushing all the dirt off, but
Ron and Alita, they have one of these and they let us use it along with everybody else at the Patreon meetup. And instantly we're like, oh my gosh, that thing is awesome. We gotta have one of those. So they ended up donating to the cause and we got one and we're very happy with it.
I think this might be my favorite thing in the van.
Yeah, I know, it's up there. Definitely useful.
Love it.
It's one of our tools that probably gets used the most. All right, so what I like about this mosquito blower is it's small, it's compact, it has a ton of power for the size. I mean, it's not short of power. You will be impressed. And the end of this is a soft, flexible rubber. So I'm not gonna scratch anything up. I can get it into places really easily. Just well thought out tool. We use it in the track on the slider door that fills full. So this is notorious for filling full of junk right here, and it's hard to get out. So I've just been blowing it out like this. And it's still got quite a bit of stuff out of there. I just blew it out the other day. And in the back, if you have a ProMaster, you know the back doors don't seal very well, so we're always getting dust in there all over the place, and it just makes a quick job of blowing it clean.
You would think that we'd never do that.
Yeah, we have to do that all the time. So that's how dusty it is.
And if you open the front doors and the wind's blowing the right way, you get a full van clean because you blow it and it goes out all the doors.
And it's mostly dust and dog hair.
Yes.
And yeah, so it has helped out keeping our van clean, and it's fun to use.
Nothing else gets the dog hair off the bed like that, even when we used to brush it.
Yeah, these guys need to sponsor us because we really like their product.
Thank you, Ron and Alita. We would not have known that existed. And thank you for gifting it to us.
Yeah, thank you guys. Taking a short walk here away from the van, and I want to show you a bush that's very common here in the West. Tell you a little bit about it. There's not a lot of information that you can find about it, whether it's videos or online. There is some, but most people probably pass right by it and don't even know the name. So let's check this out. All right, so right on the side of the road, and this grows all over in this area that seems to like the high desert, but this is antelope bitterbrush. And I'll tell you, I want to talk a little bit about that word antelope at the end of the segment. For now, I just want to tell you about the bush here. So it's got these little yellow delicate flowers. As you can see, they're very small. And then the leaves are even smaller and more delicate. So I may have to get Carrie's camera out to get a better look at them here. But they're three-lobed, and they look like they're hairy on one side of them. And they say that helps them retain moisture so they can do well in areas that don't get much rain, like the high desert. So this plant is very common throughout the West. Not only is it called antelope bitterbrush, but it's commonly known as buckbrush or even greasewood. It's said that the Indians or the indigenous used to use the wood to make tools and even eat the seeds from this plant. So this is very crucial in this area for animals to feed on during the winter and early spring. And it's favored among mule deer, antelope, also known as pronghorn, and even rabbits and grazing animals such as cattle. So when there's nothing else around, they can usually find some of this to eat, even when it's 3 feet of snow out here. So between the sagebrush and the antelope bitterbrush, it's a major food source for these wild animals. And the flowers have a great little smell to them. At least I think they do. All right, so in this area, there is antelope. Antelope eat these as well. A lot of people call antelope pronghorn, which is completely understandable because antelope are actually from Africa. So in the West, in some places of the West, they call antelope pronghorn. But here in Northern California, in Oregon, maybe some other states surrounding, they call them antelope. And if you buy a tag to go hunting, you don't buy a pronghorn tag, you buy an antelope tag. So that's why I use the term, and that is the name of the bush. But whether you call them pronghorn or antelope, I know what you're talking about. It's not a trigger for me, so I just wanted to clarify that because we get lots of comments.
The only time we're going to hear a plane is when we're recording.
Yeah, that's the only plane that I've heard since we've been here. All right, so what I like about this area is that, well, it's high desert, it's on a lake, it's well off the beaten path, it's quiet, it's beautiful, it feels like home. Lots of things I love. I love this area.
Pretty much all of those. This is literally my backyard.
Yeah.
And usually you will never see a bluer sky than you see in Lassen and Modoc County.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's just so quiet. Like we were just started to record and a plane flew over, but usually you don't hear any traffic, you don't hear any planes.
There's no cars moving at night. I mean,
it's so quiet.
It's unusual to see a car come through the day.
We had a patron at our last meetup say that he had never seen the Milky Way. And that blew me away because out here in the summertime, and there's no full moon, you come outside, it's a clear sky, you will see the Milky Way every night. There is no light pollution here at all.
Yeah, super clear sky, no pollution, no smog.
Yep.
Clean, fresh air. All right, so getting straight into what you need to know if you want to come up here. First off, I want to talk about the road. So you'll take a turn at Ravenale and you'll drive in. It's 25 miles in. So the first 11 miles is paved and then it goes to a nice gravel road. And then the last, I want to say 12 miles is an unimproved dirt road that can be rough, dusty, or even impassable if it's wet.
Yes.
So consider that before driving in here. It's super remote. You're going to want to stock up. Well, let me get the amenities first. So,
well, tell them how far away we are from cities.
Yeah, so the nearest city would be Susanville at, oh boy, I think it was 76 miles. And if you go south. If you go north, the nearest town to get any supplies would be Outtakes at 78 miles.
Yeah. So you're way the heck out here. You have to come prepared. And this area is not uncommon to get a late spring snow or an early fall snow. So definitely watch your weather.
Right, and we're at 5,600 feet. So where it's going to rain somewhere else, it could snow here.
Yes, there is no cell reception at all out here. If you do not have Starlink, you will be cut off from the world.
Right, there's no water, there's no trash. There is picnic tables at 6 different sites, and 2 of them have the metal fire rings with grills on them, and the other 4 just have rock rings.
And 1 pit toilet.
There's 1 pit toilet. It is wheelchair accessible, but that's it for amenities.
And depending on the time of year, there could or there could not be water here. This reservoir...
Oh yeah, in the lake.
Yeah, in the lake or even the streams. This reservoir is pretty much owned by Dodge Ranch. They have the water rights, and a local told us 4 years ago this reservoir was drained completely empty. So you can't even count on that.
Right, so if you're gonna come up here and you're gonna do water activities such as fishing or boating or anything like that, you can call the Eagle Lake Field Office and they will let you know the fishing conditions and the water level before you get up here.
Yeah, and I have to mention, we are in California. You must have a fire permit, even in campgrounds?
Even in campgrounds.
And they're free. You can get them online, and you can get them at any ranger station. It's a pretty big fine if you do not have that.
Right, yeah. And the fire restrictions are pretty serious, so most of the summer you're not even going to be able to have a campfire.
Yeah.
And that includes having like a Coleman stove outside. You have to have that campfire permit for that as well.
Yes.
All right.
What are we missing?
As far as pet friendly, Rudel had a great time here. But there is some stickers, so if we came a little bit later in the year, I think we'd have
these things.
Yeah.
They are not a problem right now because they're green, and that's the one thing is I've never seen it this green here.
It's greener than we've ever seen it. They had one of the best winters ever as far as rainfall.
So if you come in late summer or early fall,
these will be brown.
These will turn into hard stickers that will just kill your feet and the dog's feet. So beware of that in the fall.
We did find a tick on Rudel, first time in I can't remember how long. So I don't think there's a lot of them out here, but something we have to check for.
And I always have to say, be snake aware. Now I trampled all over this country for 20 years growing up here. I never ran into a rattlesnake, but they are here, so do not take that for granted. I've seen rattlesnakes on the road that have been run over. So always be snake aware.
Yep. If you're coming here to fish, like I said, call ahead. But there is record-sized fish in this lake, and they're trout, and they're brown trout. There's a cutthroat trout and a rainbow.
And you might think that I'm being a little bit over dramatic about how careful you have to be out here, but the nearest hospital is 80 miles away. And if you get hurt and nobody else is out here, you're either going to have to walk out or drive yourself out, or have a Spot or Garmin or some kind of mini. This is remote country.
Yeah, it is. You can't get much remoter in California.
Now, I did also want to say that to get to this reservoir, you do have to drive through private property. You will see signs on the sides of the roads. Do not get out of your car. Do not walk to the stream. Do not go check out the cabin. Yeah. Do not take pictures of horses. People come out here to be alone, and they don't take kindly to you going on their private property.
Yeah,
How is that the nice way to, can you read between the lines there?
Okay, so the road is public, so you're not going to be driving through private land on the road. So if you're staying on the road, you're fine. Make sure you know the GPS before you come in here, because you're going to weave like a maze to get through the ranches to get up in here. Yeah.
It's beautiful country. I did not appreciate it growing up. I so appreciate it now.
Yeah. The fresh air, I mean, the flowers smell sweet, it's clean, it's just wonderful.
If you prefer solitude and you enjoy nature, you will love these areas in Modoc and Lassen County that we're taking you to, just like we do.
Yeah, do not come up here, I would say October through April.
Yeah.
Because there will be snow, or the roads will just be all muddy. So either way, it will be, you won't be able to get up here.
Yeah, or you don't want to get caught up here either.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we didn't get to stay here very long. We have obligations in Oregon and in further northern California.
But this is the kind of location that we like to stay at for at least a week, if not 2 weeks.
And you will be surprised to know that we are only 7 miles from the Nevada border as the crow flies. Yeah. Most people do not know where this part of California is.
Right.
They've never heard of Ravendale or Termo or Madeline.
Yeah, unless you're from this area, or just maybe you drove through once and paid attention. But other than that,
there is nothing out here.
Yep. All right, guys, we hope you get a chance to come here and visit this for yourself if this is your kind of place. Bring a friend with you. Get all your supplies ahead of time and plan on just having a nice, quiet, peaceful time.
You will love it.
All right, we'll see you next video.
So, did we make it sound like don't come here?
No, I hope people do come here. So this is one of my favorite camping locations, maybe of the whole year. I like this location so much. If we could stay 2 weeks, we'd have our hammocks up, we'd have the paddleboard. I would have like a 3-day fishing license, and I would be out there on the paddleboard fishing. We'd be bird watching. There's deer and antelope here. So just an amazing spot. I feel like we might have underplayed it a little bit. This is incredible.
Okay. Wow. I hope you guys can see all that dog hair. It's still coming, Dave. That's great.
I think we got more at the second time.